Welcome to Buffalo Rumblings Live. My name is Matt Warren. Tonight I'm flying solo, and we're talking about some of the coaching decisions and the quarterback play against the Kansas City Chiefs and the Miami Dolphins on Thursday Night Football. Doug Marrone has been getting a lot of heat recently for his stance on fourth down and not wanting to go for it on certain fourth down situations when it would seem like he has the opportunity to. Against the Kansas City Chiefs, it was a bunch of fourth and shorts, 4th and 1, 4th and 2. Regardless of the field situation and the game situation, the Bills weren't moving the ball well, at least in the second half of the game. And so having some of those opportunities back would have, of course, helped them score more points. And against the Miami Dolphins, perhaps the most egregious of these was down 2 scores with 8 minutes left. And the Bills, who hadn't been moving the ball in the second half at all, had finally moved it into Kansas City Miami Dolphins territory. I'm getting my games mixed up. And in Dolphins territory, they stall out. It's 4th and 6 at the Chiefs' 47-yard line. And down by 2 scores, Doug Marrone elects to punt. Now, the punt doesn't make him look any better. It ends up being a 27-yard punt down to the Miami 20-yard line. And it doesn't change field position, doesn't pin him back. The defense gives up more and more yards, and it pretty much ends the game right there. But the best case scenario, as our yards per pass put it on our website, buffalorumblings.com, is that even if you do kick it away there, and this was Marrone's answer when he was asked about it earlier this week, was that he was hoping that he could pin them deep, the defense gets a stop, and they were going to have at least 2 more possessions. That's the best case scenario. You're down 2 scores, and you're asking your defense to make 2 or 3 stops, full-on stops, where the other team doesn't get any points. The Miami Dolphins doesn't get any points. And the Dolphins were moving the ball all right in the second half against the Bills' vaunted defense. So best case scenario, Marrone's like, yeah, they'll buck up. Now, he obviously didn't say that. Let me just read you a couple clips from what he did say after the game. And it wasn't right after the game. It was a couple days later when he was pressed by a couple of local beat reporters. I would find it hard-pressed for anyone at that point in the game, knowing my colleagues in this league, to see who would have gone for it in that situation. A little bit later, he said, none of us are going to put our teams in jeopardy to do that. And I don't understand what he means by that, as if putting the ball in Kyle Orton's hands or Bryce Brown's hands or something like that is putting the rest of the team in jeopardy. You do that on every play. Putting it in the defense's hands puts it in jeopardy, because it's just as sure thing that the defense is going to stop the offense as it is that you're going to get a 4th down conversion. And he said he wasn't sure about the statistics, noting that a lot of the data is skewed on 4th down conversions because of teams going for it when they're in desperation mode at the end of the game, and defenses are playing off in the prevent defense. So our own yards per pass put together some numbers using Pro Football Reference or Pro Football Reference, yes, okay. And there were 88 plays that met his criteria in the NFL, and he figured out that those had to do with timing and where the ball was on the field, the distance, the down by 2 scores, and the success rate was 44% on 4th and 6 there. And it doesn't seem like a great percentage, but it's certainly better than coming in and punting the ball away and hoping that your defense can get 2 stops in a row against the Dolphins, I would think, especially when the time is not on your side. This is what yards per pass wrote. Marrone and the Bills had a slightly less than 50% chance of keeping the ball and continuing their drive and potentially cutting the lead to 1 score. In the Bills' instance, it would have put them right on the edge of Dan Carpenter's field goal range just by getting the 1st down. Or, at best, you could lose 1 to 2 minutes off the clock and get the ball back where you just had it. That's the best case scenario. If the opposing team gets a 1st down or 2, the game is pretty much unwinnable, barring a miracle, because of time remaining and the 2-score deficit. And he's dead on. So Doug Marrone can spin it that his colleagues wouldn't do it. That's not a reason for you not to do it, though. If you think that you're going to be coaching for your job, you would think that you would want to be aggressive. Now, I know standing out in the crowd in this particular situation, I mean, NFL coaching is like middle school. You don't want to stand out in the crowd because then you give other people a reason to cut you down. But you're coaching for your job, and you need to do that sometimes. You need to step out on your own, be your own person, and make the decision that's going to put your football team in the best position to win. Now, Doug Marrone also did that a little bit earlier in the season when he replaced E.J. Manuel with Kyle Orton, or at least we thought. E.J. Manuel was 2-2. The Bills were coming off 2 straight losses after 2 season opening wins, and Kyle Orton comes in on his little white stallion, and we're going to put the rest of the season on Kyle Orton. Well, Orton's been 3-3 since. He started off well, 3-1, and then has lost his last 2 games in 11 days to put the Bills in 12th place in the AFC playoff picture. Not too good. So while local columnists are calling for E.J. Manuel's return to the starting lineup, I'm not necessarily there. I really would like to see Kyle Orton get at least 1 or 2 more games, just because I do think he's better suited to take them to the playoffs this year as opposed to E.J. Manuel. A lot of people want to see if E.J. Manuel is the quarterback of the future, and I don't know if the Bills are in future mode yet. I certainly don't think that Doug Marrone is in future mode yet. But if they do want to see if E.J. Manuel is the guy that can lead them forward, they are going to have to put him in at some point this season. And that, of course, is a delicate balance because Kyle Orton can opt out of his contract at the end of the year. And if he wants to play for a team that he's going to start on and the Bills bench him for E.J. Manuel, it's going to be harder to convince him to stick around next year for that. Just looking briefly at their comparing their 2 stats, E.J. Manuel was completing only 58% of his passes, while Kyle Orton's completing 64%. They both have thrown 3 interceptions, but Kyle Orton has 10 touchdowns. E.J. Manuel's 5. Their interception percentages in Orton's favor, touchdown percentages in Orton's favor, yards per attempt, air yards per attempt are all in Kyle Orton's favor. Quarterback rating. He has taken more sacks, many more sacks than E.J. Manuel took. He's also taken some costly penalties, including the, let's just say, fun intentional grounding call against the Miami Dolphins in the end zone. He gets sacked on 8% of his dropbacks, where Manuel only got sacked on 4% of his dropbacks. So that's one thing that Manuel does bring to the table that Orton doesn't. I'm interested to see what a lot of folks think. We ran a poll on BuffaloRumblings.com right after the game on Friday morning, and people have been voting there all weekend on whether or not it was time to switch back to E.J. Manuel. And there's some heated debate in the comment section, heated debate on Facebook, heated debate on Twitter. Some local columnists laid down their thoughts in columns on Sunday with both Leo Roth of the Democrat and Chronicle and Jerry Sullivan of the Buffalo News, saying that it was time to go to E.J. Manuel. As I think some people were surprised to see that more than 60% of Bills fans wanted the Bills to go back to E.J. Manuel on our website. It was a little bit higher to start, and it's kind of started to even out. It was up to 64, 65, 66% at one point, but now it's down to 61% after more than 3,000 votes. And it's interesting how short people's memories are. So, I'm really interested to see how the Bills respond against the New York Jets, a Jets team that they absolutely trounced less than a month ago with 6 turnovers. They've got Michael Vick now instead of Geno Smith, and that could prove a little bit more, a little bit tougher. But the Bills' offense, regardless of whether folks liked it or not, racked at 43 points that day on just 280 yards of total offense because of all those turnovers. They held on to the ball. They didn't turn it over. Fred Jackson should be back to near 100% for this game. So it's going to be very interesting, and we'll have more from Scott Salmon and the guys at Gangrene Nation a little bit later in the week, Buffalo Bills fans. So with that, my name is Matt Warren, and this has been Buffalo Rumblings Live. Bye, guys.